What up? What up? It's Raw Cut Friday, baby. We back at it. No more breaks. We own. As you know, a lot of y'all probably heard about the SpaceX IPO and the big deal about it and everything. And if you don't know, SpaceX it IPO is initial public offering. It's basically when you take a private company and you take it and you list it on the stock market for the public to buy shares and stocks. Previously, it's been around for a while. It just was in the private sector. So only way you can get equity or you can buy stock or get shares of the companies if you invested in one of the many investment rounds that Elon Musk made to have. So that's why they call it private. It's a select few. You can choose, the owners can choose who, to bring in, who the money they want to take to go to that particular, who they want to bring that money in from and to give them shares. When it's on the public market, anybody can buy it, but it also increases the valuation or the value of the company. But anyway, with him having Tesla, with him having all the other, like the Boring Company, all he got the thing with the mine. I forget the name of it right now. It kind of escapes me, but he was one of the co-founders of PayPal. Had that sold, but through all his many companies, and now he with the SpaceX IPO, he became the first trillionaire in modern history. Some people, we go back to like Genghis Khan and Mansa Musa, all the things if you put inflation in, but in recorded history, where it's real trackable, he's the first trillionaire that the world has ever seen. Well, he was the first trillionaire. He got up to like 1.32 billion, I mean trillion dollars, which is crazy. Um, the poorest person on earth was closest to the second richest person than the second richest person was to Elon Musk. That's how big the gap was. But since then, the initial public offering IPOs, normally it's a lot of hype, especially with Elon Musk. There was a lot of hype at first. Price shot up, shot up, shot up, and now it came down a little bit, which was expected. That normally happens with all IPOs. And so Elon lost his trillion-dollar status. He's still at like 900 or something billion. All it would take is for the stock to move up like 0.01% for him to get back. But anyway, it dropped. He lost about 300 billion plus, which the amount of money that he lost to lose his trillionaire status is more money than who's in second place, Larry Page, as the second richest person in the world. So just put that in perspective. It's unfathomable amount of money. But anyway, not even what we talking about. But we wanted to talk about net worth. And all that, when we say the trillionaire's net worth, it's not that Elon Musk has $1 trillion in the bank or Elon Musk has access to spend $1 trillion right now. He is worth $1 trillion. And why that is important is for the normal person like me and you. When I say normal, it's not trillionaires. For normal is not even billionaires. I mean, you can even be normal with $1 million now because we reaching a whole nother, we in a whole nother wave of things now, especially with AI and robotics and space and all this. So we're gonna start seeing a lot of numbers not mean the same as they used to. But anyway, basically how net worth is calculated. Basically, net worth is calculated by just simple total assets minus total liabilities. So basically, what you own that has value minus what you owe. That, I mean, that's basically, you can just, it's just the difference between a E and an N. What you own and what you owe. You just take the difference of that. So if you got your house, say your house is worth, uh, for the sake of numbers, say your house is worth $1 million and you owe $500,000 on it. Your net worth with that house is now $500,000 because you owe $500,000 on $1 million home. So if you were to sell it today for $1 million, you have to pay back that $500,000. Same thing for your car. Same thing for anything that you may have taken a loan out for, or anything that you own. You will subtract the difference of what you owe on it. And if you don't owe anything on it, then you have your net worth is exactly whatever the value of that is. Now, if you can't go and buy, a hamburger, you can't go and buy a vacation with your house, with your car. I mean, they do have things like home equity loans, HELOCs and stuff, but that's a whole nother thing. That's but so like, say if you bought some J's, some Travis Scotts or something like that. You bought them for $200, and now the resale value is going for $2,000 on StockX. So now you have your net worth went up $2,000. because you can sell those shoes for $2,000. You know what I'm saying? Your net would be 1,800 since you paid 200, and now you can sell them for 2,000. But you can't walk into Ruth Chris, or you can't walk into McDonald's or Chick-fil-A and buy a hamburger and, you know, and slushies and whatever it is with a shoestring or with a piece of that shoe. You have to find a buyer for it. So your net worth is that amount, but you don't have $2,000 in your pocket. And that's where we come with liquidity. That's being liquid, having liquid cash. That's like your savings accounts, your checkings account, your crypto and stock, because those you can easily sell those. The normal person can. Now Elon Musk, he has, like, just for the sake of numbers again, say he has $500 billion of stock in SpaceX. He can't sell $500 billion, all $500 billion of that stock, you know, because if he does, the stock will crash and there's certain limits, and it wouldn't be worth anything by the time he got to it. Because say there's only, we getting real technical, so say SpaceX trades at a volume of $5 billion a day, you know, so that means you have $5 billion of on the market of cash available ready to buy some stock or even sell it. You know, so if you have 500 billion worth, you don't have enough buyers. So, you know, some people are always going to lowball. So you may have, of that 5 billion, 1 billion may be at $100. Then another billion may be at $50. So if you're trying to sell 500 and go in there, it's going to eat through that. It's going to eat through that first one at 100. It's going to eat through that second one at 50. And every time you sell at a lower price, that drops the price of the stock down. So it's not going to be worth what it was at the beginning of the day, or even when you first start to sell it, because now you just keep selling lower, 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 and now the price is dropping. So it's a supply and demand. The stock is only worth what people are willing to pay for it. You know, if nobody's selling and somebody say, okay, it's worth $100, and now I'm willing to pay $110, and I buy a bunch of stock at $110, now that stock is worth $110. So if you have 1,000,000 shares and it just went from $100 to $110, you gain $10 for each share. So you just gained $10 million without doing anything. So now your net worth went up $10 million just by you holding. So that's just how the net worth works. So when you hear people say the net worth of all these people, it's not that they had a cash on hand. It's just what the assets they have and what they are valued at. Now they can leverage, they can get loans from the bank and do all these special debt things that they do, leveraging their stocks, because they know, the banks know they can get it back. So they get favorable, low interest, you know, type loans that's not accessible to the common person, the common public. Okay, so what this means for you, I know social media, they have a lot of different influencers. They have a lot of different people. Oh, use your debt, take a loan out on this, and use your debt to work for you, and you know, you can set up this trust and get this LLC. They're, all of these different things are not for the common person. You know, like they're telling you all these different things. Some of them, they do have validity to them. It's not that they're lying. They're just leaving out a lot of stuff. You know, it's like me telling you, oh, go to the gym and train and do these things. You be able to run a 4,140 and have a 50-inch vertical and bench press 225 55 times. You know, that's not necessarily true. Yes, you have to have certain conditions. You have to take into factor genetics. You got to take into factor bone structure, bone density. You got to take into factor testosterone levels. You know, or you know, are you high on test? You got to take into factors or other. You know, do you want to take supplemental measures? You know, do you want to take steroids? Do you have the genetic capability of producing that stuff naturally? Injuries, do you have injuries? You know, it's a lot of different stress levels. You know, do you work a 9 to 5, and do you have a family, and are you getting enough sleep, and do you have enough time to even go to the gym to consistently do that over time? So theoretically, yes, those are the things that you would need to do to achieve those athletic feats. But at the same time, not everybody is in that setup to take advantage of that. Same thing with all this financial advice. Not everybody's debt situation is different. Everybody circumstances of their living situation. They may have kids. They may have mortgages. They may have family in need. They may be income may not be high enough. It's just a whole bunch of different factors that you don't see, or you don't hear, or they don't consider when they're making these blanket videos of, hey, here, this is how you leverage this and that. It's good to know these things, because some of the things they may apply to you, but not all of them apply. So a lot of these financial gurus online are selling you programs for stuff that they know you won't be able to take advantage of. And you can just simply Google these things. Or if you see it online, it may just bring awareness for you to look into it, and therefore it may open up opportunities or a pathway, or maybe even spark a thought for you to look into something else that you probably never thought of before. That's the best thing for it. But for you to try to go and take advantage of and do the things that they're actually saying, is very highly unlikely. But it's good to know, like, the average net worth. The average net worth in America right now is like $1.1 million, but that's highly skewed by all the different billionaires, and now trillionaires. So Elon Musk by itself skews the scale. But if you take the median of the general population of America, the net worth of the average median American is around like $191,000. So just say the average net worth is $200,000. And that's pretty good, considering that a lot of Americans are in so much debt, thinking about like a lot of the debt and a lot of things that we owe, and a lot of people don't have real time assets or don't invest like that. So a majority of net worth is tied up in mortgages and the homes that you own. So like if you bought a home and for $200,000, and pre-COVID or during COVID, and now 6 years later, that home is worth $400,000. Your net worth is $200,000, instantly, or it went up. We don't count salary, because salary is just what you spend. Assets is something that you hold, that holds value. Now you get your salary and you put 5,000, put 2,000, 200, $100 in the bank every day, or into some stock, then that builds your asset, that builds your net worth, but not your salary alone. So if you make 100K a year, you don't add 100K to your net worth, because a lot of that 100K is going to go to depreciating goods, or going to go to food, it's going to go to gas expenses, different expenses, which are no longer assets. You don't have it anymore, so you don't see it. So knowing your net worth would be good, just because you can start to think about leveraging programs that you do see that you can take advantage of, that you can use for collateral. I mentioned HELOC earlier, like home equity loans. Like if you have like a one-time big purchase and you don't have a lot of debt, and you can utilize, so if I had $200,000 of equity in my home, I can take a line of credit out on that. I can take $100,000 out on that and pay for college, or buy a new car, or do this, and I can just pay that back. I don't have to, and I can only take what I need. I don't have to take the whole amount. You can set up, you hear about trust. You can set up trust to do different things, and you use your LLCs, and those are whole different other videos, and you get into a lot of micro specifics of things. But main thing, all in all, just wanted to talk about net worth, and really, because I know a lot of people, they get not necessarily discouraged. They kind of, they start looking at themselves differently when they hear all these billionaires, Mark Zuckerberg is worth this, the Google founders is worth this, Jeff Bezos is worth this, and his wife got $200 billion of this. It wasn't 200 billion in cash. I mean, 200 billion, 200 billion. I'd rather be worth 200 billion than not, so not saying that it's not a good thing. That is awesome, that is the most fantastic thing in the world, especially if you can stay under the radar, nobody really know. Because if I invest in some stuff and I just made, all the right moves, I could be sitting on $1 billion of assets and nobody even know, just because I'm not a CEO, I'm not a public figure, I could just move in silence, I'm just boom, 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 nobody even know. And I can be a Bitcoin billionaire, most people don't even know, but so that's cool. So it's not that it's a bad thing, it's just that you can't, a lot of people get caught up in comparing themselves, even to their friends, even to just anybody that they see, like just social media. People start judging and comparing themselves to how people look on there, not knowing that they may be photoshopping. Yeah, that's the Raw Cut Friday, baby. Know your net worth. Figure out how to leverage it if you can. Figure out how to increase that. But just like they say, know your numbers for your health, like your testosterone, your blood work. Know your numbers for your finances, and just go from there. Raw Cut Friday, baby. AJ Perfect. I'm out.